AFR On Demand is brought to you by Breck Golf. Try Beaver Creek today, just 20 minutes from downtown Baton Rouge in the Zachary area. They've got a PGA Tour driving range, a short game practice area, 30 to 40-yard practice shots. It's a great place to chip and putt and practice if you don't have time for a full round. Book your tee time today, golf.breck.org, golf.breck.org.
Matt Moscona.
I'm very important.
After further review.
Say it one more time.
After further review with Matt Moscona.
And here we go.
Live from the Raising Cane studio.
Let's rock!
Hour 3, off we go. Welcome aboard. Glad you're with us. It's AFR, powered by Sunshine, your hometown John Deere dealer in Louisiana. I'm Matt.
Love you, Matt.
Paul O'Neill.
They're chanting Paul O'Neill's name.
You sir. And Mr. Toby Tomplay. All right, we're here. Glad you are as well. It's 5 o'clock quitting time. Glad you are driving home with us. Will Wade is making waves. No surprise. But Tigers may have a legal battle on their hands with some of their most recent commits, including R.J. Lewis, who a year ago was the Big East Player of the Year at St. John's. But he went pro and now is trying to make his way back into the college game. Zach Braziller covered St. John's there and Lewis there at the New York Post, and he's going to hang out with us for a couple of minutes. Hey, Zach, thanks for the time, man. How are you?
Good. How you guys doing?
Very well. Thank you. Let me just start, if I could, with R.J. Lewis, the basketball player. Got to watch him last year when he was the Player of the Year in the conference. Tell us about the basketball player.
Yeah, look, really, really talented guy, really good college player. A big guard, but he can play inside. His first year at St. John's was, he came from UMass, was kind of marred by injuries. He had this stress reaction, both shins, so he couldn't really practice a lot. He had limited minutes. You saw kind of glimpses of it. And then in the offseason, he had surgery on both of them. And then the next year, he was great. He was the Big East Player of the Year. Some might have argued Kadari Richmond or Zuby Ejiofor was, were their MVPs, but look, he was great. He's a big guard. He's not a great shooter, but he can shoot the three. Can get downhill. You can play him at the three. You can play him at like a small ball four. I think a very, very good college player. He was a second-team All-American.
Why did he leave St. John's, especially in the NIL era, where presumably, Zach, he could have just stayed and kept making money playing college ball?
Yeah, look, his camp had been telling St. John's throughout the whole year that he was going pro. It was the family, it were the agents. He was dead set on going pro. I talked to him right before the draft about it, and he said, he wanted to go pro after his sophomore year. It didn't work out because of the injuries. So he could have, transferred. He could have stayed, but he was pretty dead set on going pro. He was really determined to go to the NBA. Really wasn't a surprise. You kind of heard it all year that that was going to be it for him.
Does St. John's, I'm fascinated by the non-football schools because they can commit their full rev share to basketball, not having to support a football program. Does St. John's spend the full rev share amount on basketball?
I wouldn't say that.
Okay.
A lot of the money that comes from donors. Mike Rapoli, a billionaire entrepreneur, is probably their number one donor. The school, they could go up to, I guess, 20 plus,
yeah, 20.
Direct from the school, but that's not really something. The school isn't directly giving money to the support for the program. A lot of it is still donors. A lot of it is still through NIL. Mike Rapoli has been a huge part of their success the last 2 years since Pitino arrived. So no, I wouldn't say it's like all of it comes through from donors.
Okay.
From the school.
Sure. Okay, let's talk about what happened then. Take us to the draft. Zach Braziller is with us, New York Post, covers St. John's. R.J. Lewis now committed to LSU. We'll get to the legal situation in a second. But all right, take us to the draft. What were the draft projections for Lewis? Why did he end up going undrafted?
Yeah, it was a lot of mid-second round, late second round. Maybe if someone loved him early, second round. I don't think anyone ever thought he was a first round pick. His kind of mindset, like I said, was he was kind of dead set on going pro. His agents were pushing it. His family thought it was a good idea, and didn't see like he had such a good year that it was like, how much can he really boost his stock? He'd be a year older. I think he's a little bit of a tweener. Like in the NBA, he's a really good college athlete, but in the NBA, he's not a great athlete. He's not a great shooter. I think people look at him as like a really good college player.
So what do you? I'm sorry, please.
Go ahead.
No, I was going to say, so he goes pro, he goes undrafted, and now he's trying to get back in the college game. What's your reaction to this news now of him trying to get back into the college game?
Yeah, it's considering what happened with Charles Bediako. I think it's hard for me to see him getting eligible just because he signed multiple two-ways, and the NCAA has kind of drawn a line here where, you can come from Europe, you can even go through the draft, but when you sign an NBA contract, that's the line they've drawn, and that's what happened in the Bediako case. But as we all know, the NCAA does not have a good record in court, so who knows? I'm sure LSU is confident that they could line up the right lawyers and they could figure things out. If he got eligible, I have no doubt he'd be a really good player for them. He's a really talented guy. His biggest issue has been injuries. I know this past year he had more injuries. That's why he didn't really, play much in the G League this year. He had more injuries. But to me, it's the question. It's going to be obviously up to the courts. And NCAA doesn't have a good record there.
Yeah. How is RJ the player, the person, the teammate?
Yeah, look, he was good to deal with. There's no doubt about that. I know me and the other guys who cover this team enjoy covering him. Sometimes the ball can stick a little with him. He can over dribble, but look, he's a really talented guy. He when his mind is right, he can be a really big time defender. Sometimes he doesn't bring that on a consistent basis, but when he wants to be, he could be a terrific defender. The one thing he struggled with at St. John's was when he faced, the kind of athlete you would deal with in the NBA, that wing athlete where he can't overpower them with athleticism and strength. He struggled. You go back to that NCAA tournament game they lost to Arkansas, where he really struggled against guys like Carter Knox. But there's no doubt he's a really, really talented player, and I have nothing negative to say about him as a person.
Zach Braziller, our guest from the New York Post, covers St. John's, where R.J. Lewis was the Big East Player of the Year a season ago, and now trying to get back into the college game. Such a weird times, man. Zach, we appreciate the time. Thank you.
My pleasure. Have a good one, guys.
You do the same. It's After Further Review. We're brought about Arco Power Systems, ARCCO, Arco.com, Arco.com. Arco Power Systems. Hey, look, this is industrial generator power. We talk about it often, every day, as a matter of fact. Storm season, June 1. Hurricane season's here. When the storm's in the Gulf, it's too late to start thinking about your backup power options and solutions. So make that call today. Power goes out, what happens to your business? What happens to your business if you're offline? Hours, days, weeks. Plan now. Arco Power Systems. Everything's turnkey. Sell, service, install, rent your industrial Generac generator. If you want a permanent solution, you want a leased generator where they even maybe have it at their yard. And so when power goes out and you need to mobilize, you go pick it up, hook it up to a trailer, bring it to your facility, where that permanent solution that's installed, like here at Guarantee, we have a generator on the back of our building. Do the same for you. Grocery stores, gas stations, banks, hospitals, schools, industrial facilities, you name it. This is standby generator power for your business, your commercial building or facility. It's Arco Power Systems. ARCCO, Arco.com, Arco.com. Boy, it really feels like LSU is lining up for a legal battle with these last two commits. Or with two of the commits, I guess we could say. We'll see what happens with Yam Madar. If he's not, there's an international site, Mozart Sports, which is reporting that he's picked LSU on a $5 million deal. R.J. Lewis apparently is signed, but he apparently is headed to court. Nunez, the UTSA transfer, he's good. I mean, he had a redshirt year. He'll be a fifth-year senior. He's got another year of eligibility. But I'm going to be fascinated. I said it last hour. I'll repeat it. I just don't have enough information to know why, and you heard Zach just mention it there, like why the NCAA is good with international players who have played professionally, even who have been through the draft, but not someone like R.J. Lewis who's local. We've got a million requests out to people who just know way more about this than I do to try to get on the show to get some of the answers to these questions. Because quite honestly, I know a lot of you are confused. I am as well. This is new. And it feels like every case is subject to review from the NCAA for eligibility status. So I don't have the answers to tell you, like, is Yam Madar at 25 years old going to be eligible? I don't know. He was a guy that was he's an international guy, never played collegiately. So is that subject to like the JUCO rules because he was never played collegiately in the NCAA? He was drafted but never played in the NBA. So he's played internationally. Is that like, are you going to have to go to court over that, or is he eligible because he's the international rule? He's got one more year like Will Wade talked about. Do you have that cut handy still from Will in the interview with I need you to keep it. It's rusting. It's the first one. It's where he talked about focusing more heavily on the international guys. And it's interesting because he points out in that clip, Will says specifically, he talks about like 1 year, right? Let me grab a break. We'll come back. I do want to, there's one of my favorite off-season football pieces is the anonymous coach survey that Athlon puts out, and that's out. So I do want to talk about that. But I'm not done here, and there's opinions from guys like Isaac Trotter from CBS, Adam Finkelstein from CBS, all these people who have talked about this situation with how Will Wade is building this roster. So I want to dig a little deeper, and I'd love your opinions as well. Like, I'm serious. Like, I'm curious how you all feel about this, because I kind of feel like I'm going to be swimming upstream on this one. I feel like a lot of LSU fans are going to just back Will Wade with whatever he does. I'm telling you, if you got to go to court to get if the NCAA rules these guys ineligible and they go to court, I'm not going to be behind Will Wade and LSU in this one. Because I'm no hypocrite. So the same thing about Bediako. It was ridiculous that he was eligible. The guy was playing in the G League. He was playing professional basketball and then came back to college. It was absurd. And it would be absurd if, again, not knowing the rules in the nuance of all these situations. If the NCAA says, no, you're ineligible, then you're ineligible. What do y'all think? I'm curious. Maybe, can we do a poll on that? Muse, can we do a Twitter poll? I would love to know, because I have produced content every day at scale for this audience for like 20 years. I really feel like I always have a good finger on the pulse of what you all are going to think collectively. I don't know about this one. Like, I know LSU fans are lined up in support of Will Wade. I also know LSU fans were crushing Alabama with the Bediako thing a few months ago. So now the shoe's on the other foot. Where do you stand? Interesting time. Okay, let me knock out a break. It's AFR.
After further review.
We're brought to you by Clegg's Nursery. 4 locations in the greater Baton Rouge area. Siegen near Airline, LA16 in Denham, Mid-City on Donmore, Garden Center on Greenwell Springs. Tell you every day to buy local and shop local. Get on by and see our friends over at Clegg's Nursery. Man, what an awesome time of year. Springtime. one of my favorites, especially when it starts to warm up. It's pool season, but my goodness. Get on out and get by Clegg's Nursery. Bypass the big box stores. Just plant something and let Clegg's help you do it. Create that backyard tropical paradise. They got dipplodenias, which I tell you about all the time. It's Erica's favorite flower by the pool. Hibiscus. They got certain in stock for 20% off the regular price. My goodness, get on by and stock up. Oh, I need to show Erica that. They got blueberry bushes as well. Man, check them out. It's at Clegg's Nursery. 4 locations. Buy local, shop local. Bypass the big box store. Tell them Ed sent you to Clegg's Nursery.
After further review, powered by Sunshine, your hometown John Deere dealer in Louisiana.
Reading some of the texts coming in. Remember, you could text the show 225-396-4400, 396-4400, 396-4400. That's my text line. You could also text our station line at 499-1045. That'll go to any of the shows throughout the day, 225-499-1045. Andy said, I think the R.J. Lewis thing is ridiculous. While I'd be happy in the interim that it would help LSU, him being allowed to play concerns me greatly about the sport as a whole. It would hurt LSU, but I wouldn't be mad if he was ruled ineligible. Chris said, I think it's ridiculous. Why not go get Anderson and Shores and Ianson to come back and pitch before they get called up? Makes no sense. I mean, that's kind of what we're talking about here. And then Jalen said, I'm with you and agree on this topic, but if it's within the rules and other teams are doing it, then we should as well to stay with the competition. I don't like it, but it looks like we have to do it right now. So Jalen, or Jason, excuse me, Jason Broussard. Jason, that's just it. Like, I don't think it's within the rules. That's the point. So I want to be very clear. This is where this is why I'm not like pounding the table and yelling about this today. Because I think there is a lot of ambiguity where I am being very candid. I'm telling you, I don't know. Like, there's a degree of ignorance I have. And people always sometimes are offended by that word. Ignorance just means like the lack of knowledge. It doesn't mean you're stupid. It means you just don't know. Like, I just don't know the difference between like the international rule. Like why we're having a different conversation about Yam Madar and RJ Lewis. I don't know. Like, Yam Madar was an international player, got drafted by the Celtics 6 years ago, never played in the NBA, but has been playing internationally, but was in the draft. Like, why would he be eligible, but RJ Lewis wouldn't? I don't know. And I'm working hard to try to get people on the show who understand scouting and international basketball and all those rules much better than I do, who can explain this to me. But that's the point. If this is the cleanest way that I can say it. If the NCAA rules these players eligible, okay, great, awesome. It's within the rules. Great. If the NCAA says, no, our rules are clear, you're ineligible, and LSU wants to go to court to fight the NCAA, I would very much be opposed to that. That's maybe the cleanest way that I can say it. And there's been a lot of reaction. And listen, this was Will about 2 weeks ago on John Rothstein's podcast talking about how he's going to build this year's roster as opposed to how he built his year one roster at NC State.
This year I'm going to lean a little heavier on the international route. This is the last year that a lot of kids over there are going to be eligible, some of the older kids, because of the clock issues. Yeah. Just those kids have a lot of experience. There's just some natural things that they've learned over there that really help in college basketball and can translate to us in college basketball. And so we're going to do that. We're going to certainly get some of the best guys we can from the transfer portal. We've gotten a couple already, and we're going to try to get a couple more, but we're going to supplement that with some overseas guys.
Okay, so like Will said very clearly there, this is the last year some of those international guys are going to be eligible because of the clock rules. Okay, well, if they're eligible, I don't care that they're 25. mean, LSU won the national championship in football in 2003 with Matt Moscona when he was 30. He wasn't really 30, but he went and played pro baseball and then came back into college and played football. Not exactly apples to apples because it was a different sport, but my point is, like, if it's within the rules, okay, great. Where I'm going to have a problem is if the NCAA rules these players ineligible and then LSU goes to court to try to gain their eligibility. And Isaac Trotter from CBS Sports said point blank, no, this is one that is going to go before a judge.
Yeah, he has no path to eligibility right now. They will definitely need to go to the court system to try to get a waiver for one more year of eligibility. The NCAA has held really firm that if you have signed a two-way contract with the NBA, you will not be reinstated eligibility in college basketball. And remember, RJ Luis had a chance last year to stay in college, right? He chose to exhaust that option. He did not stay in college. He bypassed the at eligibility date and chose to stay in the 2025 NBA draft. And that precedent is very, very similar to the Charles Bediako case from earlier this year at Alabama. When that went through and his temporary restraining order ended, Bediako was ruled ineligible because he had signed a two-way contract, just like Luis.
Okay, like, that sounds cut and dried. By the way, I've been saying Lewis. I was told earlier today it was RJ Lewis. He was saying Luis. I was heard like it's spelled Luis but pronounced Lewis. Anyway, he's saying Luis. I could be wrong. Trotter also was asked, okay, like, well, what case can Luis present in court?
Lewis's representation is going to look at the 5-for-5 deal coming from the eligibility model and basically say, hey, he played 1 year at UMass, 2 years at St. John's, 1 year in the G League, did not play NBA minutes. He should be grandfathered in an extra year of eligibility. That's what they're going to make the case. I think they're going to get some pushback, though, because Lewis's deal looks awfully similar to Bediako's.
Then he said Lewis twice. What's he doing?
Nobody knows.
Nobody knows.
Nobody knows.
Is he messing with me? So I was right. It is Lewis.
Or is it Luis? He said
I don't
both.
know. It sounded like he did an about face. So that's interesting. So, like, if the 5-to-play-5 thing, if you're not familiar, the NCAA competition committee is considering a 5-to-play-5 rule where every player, there's no more red shirts, there's no more gray shirts, it's just everybody has 5 years to play 5. That's it. No 6-year, no medical red shirts. It's just 5 to play 5, period. Well, if that's the case, does RJ Lewis have that extra year? Maybe. And if the NCAA says thumbs up, great. One more. This is Adam Finkelstein, who talked about his opinion on how Will Wade is building his roster.
I think this is very on brand for Will Wade, right? He's not just going to push the boundaries. He's going to try and reinvent new ones. And whether or not Luis is eligible, just like Yam Madar from Israel, remains to be seen. But I think the other thing that we're not talking quite enough about is that all the attention is on these two players and their eligibility status. LSU is also starting to bring in some players we know are going to be eligible. They got a commitment from a guy named Bryce Desire just last week. He's 23 years old. He's 6'11". He's got a 7'3" wingspan. He's someone that places like North Carolina coveted, and he chose LSU. He's going to be an immediate impact big man. If they get Allen Graves to bypass the NBA draft, now all of a sudden they're going to have one of the better front courts in the SEC, if not the country. If you remember that Mo Diabate, the former Alabama and Kentucky product, is there as well. So the questions are in the backcourt.
I mean, look, the one thing that's undeniable is Will Wade is going to exhaust every option to make this team the best, most competitive team he possibly can immediately. And I am all for that. Like, I'm very much okay with LSU rehiring Will Wade. I'm very much okay with him pushing the boundaries and limits of roster retention and exhausting all those avenues. Portal, everything. Like, I'm the guy that's all pro NIL, pro portal, pro rev share, all of it. So wherever you can go to get players, great, as long as they're eligible. If they're not, that's where I draw the line. The going to court to sue the NCAA to try to gain eligibility on a player that's not eligible. All right, let me know your thoughts. All right, email us, tweet us, text us. 225-396-4400, 396-4400. We're brought to you by Evermore, EVAMOR, evermore.com, evermore.com. Hunt just texted I got a sip of water. Hunt just texted our Louisiana Sports.net group that Salud Yang is bubbling up again. Remember, Salud Yang is the player who is playing in Italy, who is that right? Is he in, or no? Marcio Santos was the Brazilian who was playing in, or was he playing in?
Santos was in Israel.
He's from Brazil. He's playing in Israel. Yang is playing in Italy.
Yes.
Salud Yang's playing in Italy. He's the 6'7" forward who they reportedly said was a $7 million deal. And apparently that's bubbling up again, according to Hunt. Whatever. I don't know how to pronounce all these guys' names. Here you go. Yeah, this is college here. This is a U.S. news service, college basketball content. They're one that has a lot of these college basketball commits. 22-year-old Italian native, Salud Yang. He's from Italy?
It's not a very Italian name there, but, could be, sure.
The world does have immigrants, Muse.
Yeah.
22-year-old Italian native Salud Yang is committed to LSU. According to college basketball at CBB Content on Twitter, Yang was drafted 58th overall by the Cleveland Cavaliers last year's draft, played the past season in the Euro League. So apparently that's another one that a lot of these outlets now are reporting. Is that one where we're going to have to worry about his eligibility? But he's an international guy who was never playing collegiately, who was drafted but didn't play. He was a draft and stash guy by Cleveland. So is that any different than baseball, which drafts a player who never signs? I don't know. Drink Evermore. That's the moral of the story. All these elite basketball players, no matter where you are in the world, drink Evermore. It's the best water you'll ever drink in your life. Evermore.com. Okay. It's after further review. Let me knock out a break. When we come back, I want to talk about the anonymous coach survey from Athlon. Some of my favorite annual offseason pieces. We'll do it next. It's AFR.
After further review.
Get Gordon. Get it done. Gordon McKernan Injury Attorneys. You've been injured in an accident. It's not your fault. Do what injured people in our state have done for 3 decades. Get Gordon and get it done. Gordon has a team of attorneys all over the state of Louisiana, and they have collected more than $3 billion in damages for their clients. Yo, if you've been injured, don't go it alone. Trust Gordon and his team of local attorneys in whatever market in the state you're in, to help you get what you deserve to get your life back on track. GetGordon.com, GetGordon.com, GetGordon.com. If you'd prefer to call, you can always do that. 888-8888, 888-8888, or go to GetGordon.com. You can see testimonials, client results, speak to an attorney, chat with someone all on the website right there, or just dial 888-8888. GetGordon.com, get Gordon, and get it done.
After further review, powered by Sunshine, your hometown John Deere dealer in Louisiana.
The gate, Lordy, here she comes with a basket full of chicken and a big...
Always appreciate our friends over at Sunshine. Newest location right there at the Piku exit in Baton Rouge off of I-10. Gorgeous new facility, but you know the drill. Bunky and below. You want a deer, you're going to Sunshine. SunEquip.com, SunEquip.com. Sunshine, your hometown John Deere dealer in Louisiana. Annually, one of my favorite pieces of content in the offseason, which normally we get lists and it's just mindless drivel. It's people coming up with their own arbitrary lists of the 10 best that, the most important this, the worst that, the most anticipated whatevers. And it's just mindless drivel to get through the offseason that doesn't actually mean anything. Athlon does a piece every year where they offer SEC coaches anonymity to talk about other teams in the conference, and then they print the most interesting quotes. I love this. I read it every year. And I think when you give these coaches anonymity, that's like truth serum. And it will flow and flow freely. So I think it's fascinating to look at this. Let me not bury the lead. We'll go to LSU. And candidly, the LSU comments about Kiffin are not the most intriguing, which is odd because you would think, man, these coaches would love to just dish on Kiffin. But there are two quotes that they give from SEC coaches about Lane Kiffin. The first, sorry, I just scrolled right past it. My bad. The first, any offense that Lane Kiffin has had, they've been unique, they've been multiple, they've been unconventional. Schematically, with Charlie Weiss Jr., I think they're going to make people play 11-on-11 football. I could see them easily getting back to doing what LSU does. It's going to be a 4-quarter game against those guys every time you play them with the tempo and the athletes they always have. That's the first quote from an SEC coach about LSU under Lane Kiffin. The other is actually about the defense and Blake Baker and has nothing to do with Lane Kiffin. I was hoping we would get something about Kiffin, like something juicy that someone had to say about Lane, but instead it was something very complimentary about the offense, and this one's about the defense. Blake Baker does such a great job of messing with a quarterback's eyes. He's a really big pain on third down. Ultimately, it's about what you can get your quarterback to know, and Baker makes it really hard on quarterbacks with what they think they see and what the reality is. So those are the two quotes about LSU, which again doesn't give you a ton, but I do think it's interesting to hear those quotes from another SEC coach about LSU, effectively saying they're immediately offensively going to get back to what LSU does great with great athletes, and then Baker's defense is just awesome and makes it really hard on quarterbacks. The thing that I found most interesting are actually the comments about Alabama and Ole Miss. And you can go read this at Athlon if you want. But the two things about Alabama are things, probably not surprising, that I have said quite literally since I danced around like an idiot in this studio the day Nick Saban retired. And everyone is now starting to see it manifest. Quote, with whoever was going to follow Nick Saban, there was going to be a measuring stick on the toughness or softness of the program. Mm-hmm. The run game statistics do not vouch for toughness. They have to fix that. Losing Ty Simpson doesn't help that. The top 2 running backs are gone. 3 of the top 5 offensive linemen are gone. And Jeremy Bernard was a special player. Losing all of them doesn't allow people to play you honest so that you can run the ball. People are going to be able to play 2 eye safeties, create multiple looks, and create issues for them. There's a coach sitting there saying Alabama is not tough and they are not going to be good this year on offense. By the way, they were not good last year on defense either. The other, less descriptive, but equally as honest, double-digit point losses were never a thing under Nick Saban. Now they're a thing. That creates concern, talking points, and narratives, which is tough to deal with because the players see it. Bingo. Y'all, it ain't Nick Saban's Alabama. The thing I said from the day Nick Saban left. Not telling you they're going to be bad. I'm just telling you they're not going to be invincible. It is unmistakably different without Nick Saban there. And I think Alabama is staring down the barrel of a really tough season. And those idiots gave Kalen DeBose a giant contract extension when no one was trying to hire him. Dorks. All right, 3 coaches commented on Ole Miss. In the 3 games that he coached last year, Pete Golding was Pete Golding. He was himself. He naturally transitioned into his role while staying the same dude. That's going to be the challenge. Can he continue to rely on all the things that have made him a big-time ball coach, or is he going to try to be the anti-Lane Kiffin? A lot of people in Oxford want him to be the anti-Lane, but he just needs to be Pete Golding. It's a little abstract. I don't exactly know what they mean by that, and I don't really care. That's not a great quote. This one is, I think, honest that everyone can agree with. Trinidad Chambliss is absolutely the top returning quarterback in the country. He's a winner. He's got a feel for the game. He's got presence. He looks like he's got tremendous leadership skills. All that, I think, is true. Not surprising. The question that I have about Ole Miss is offensively, what can they be without Lane Kiffin and Charlie Weiss? And that's what this quote is, the third one. Quote, but can the defense be improved enough to let the growth happen offensively without Charlie Weiss Jr.? And that is the gigantic question. Because, yes, Chambliss is back. Yes, Lacey is back. But you lose a ton on the defensive side of the ball, and losing your head coach, play caller, offensive minds, I don't think it is just rinse and repeat for that Ole Miss offense. One other thing, here's a bonus one. How about this quote? Talking about Oklahoma. One line from an SEC coach talking about OU. John Mateer has a ridiculously high ceiling. Okay. Saw it early in the season before that hand injury, and it never really came back to form for the rest of the year. Another season with Mateer there in Norman? We'll see. All right, it's After Further Review. Thanks for hanging out with us, y'all. We're brought to you by the Williamson Eye Center. 924-2020, 924-2020, 924-2020, or WilliamsonEye.com. Williamson, EYE.com for the Williamson Eye Center. Check out the Williamson Eye Center. If you're thinking of ditching the contacts and glasses forever, there's no one else you need to call. The great news is, if you want the absolute best ophthalmologist anywhere, awesome. You don't have to leave the state. You don't have to leave the city. Dr. Blake Williamson is right here. We're just super fortunate that one of the most forward-thinking, progressive ophthalmologists in the world is right here in Baton Rouge. I mean, Dr. Blake brings first-of-its-kind procedures to Baton Rouge. So if you're thinking of ditching the contacts and glasses forever, no matter your age or refractive issue, Dr. Blake Williamson at the Williamson Eye Center has a refractive procedure for you to where you can spend the rest of your life seeing perfectly without contacts or glasses. You just have to take that first step. Schedule a consult today. 924-2020, 924-2020, or WilliamsonEye.com. All right, y'all, been a great show. Glad you're hanging out with us here. We're going to knock out our final break. Come back. Jimmy will be here for Auto Locks. Remember, if you miss anything, AFR On Demand presented by Breck Golf. We had Shea Dixon in hour one. We talked to Toby Rowland, the radio voice of the Oklahoma Sooners, preview the Tigers and the Sooners from Hoover. We had Zach Braziller here as well in hour number 3, talking about R.J. Lewis, the former Big East Player of the Year from St. John's, who's committed to LSU, but will he get eligible? A lot of that conversation is going to persist. So we're glad to have you here. If you missed anything, you can catch it on demand podcast or YouTube, presented by Breck Golf. They are underway in the third game of the day. No score. Tennessee and South Carolina there in the bottom of the first. The Vols hitting with a runner on first base and nobody out. We'll keep you posted. All right, final break of the show. Jimmy's here for Auto Locks next.
AFR.
I love a 90-degree day in May. You can keep that 50-degree stuff. That's for the birds, man. 90 in May means it's pool season, y'all. If you are dreaming and have been dreaming about a pool, you got to call Duplessis Pools. Go to DuplessisPools.com, DuplessisPools.com, DuplessisPools.com. You can even go into their showroom. They're on Airline Highway in Prairieville. Going south on Airline in Prairieville, go down a couple miles, you see it on the right. It's the corner of Airline and Duplessis Lane. That's just a coincidence, but it's a great one. Right next to the new Rouse's, if you know where that is. Go in and look at all the different features. Pick your features there or do it online. DuplessisPools.com, DuplessisPools.com, DuplessisPools.com. Go to the homepage. You'll see the Pick Your Pool tab right there on the homepage. Click it. You'll see 11 different pool designs. Pick your tile, coping, lights, sun deck, water features, all of it right there. You can even finance it at the website. Do it right now at DuplessisPools.com, DuplessisPools.com. Tell you every day, better coverage for less money. And man, my friends over at Insurance Network of Louisiana are crushing it for Louisianians on their auto insurance right now. Listen, if you have not had anyone shop for your auto insurance lately, you got to call Insurance Network of Louisiana. My goodness. They got some top-rated companies, Geico, Progressive. They're doing awesome work right now. This was an amazing story that I heard. They wrote one last week, saved the client $2,911 annually. They had a high auto rate with State Farm. They smashed it with Geico. They had another one say $1,476 annually with Progressive. They had Allstate and switched. Y'all, I tell you all the time, if you're just auto-renewing your insurance, man, you're probably overpaying and you're underinsured. Let Insurance Network of Louisiana help. LAinsurance.net.
After further review, powered by Sunshine, your hometown John Deere dealer in Louisiana.
Down the stretch we come. Final segment here on a Tuesday edition of AFR, powered by Sunshine, your hometown John Deere dealer in Louisiana. One thing left to do. Let's find out what we're betting on tonight. Time for Otter Locks.
Otter Locks.
All right, time to win some money.
Presented by Total Maintenance AC Repair. Same-day service means you will never sleep hot. 480-1000. We are Total Maintenance.
I think it's safe to say that I won the bet.
Yo, Otter, what up?
What's going on, Matthew? How you doing, buddy?
Doing well, man. Good day on the diamond last night, but how about that upset by the Spurs? Double OT, didn't see that coming, man.
So I was struggling with the pick, but I went with the season. I'm going to tell you what, when I got word that De'Aaron Fox was out, I liked it that much more. So that solidified it, and I was, but I was a little bit worried of happened. Wemby is just too much to deal with, and I just don't. I know the zigzag, the higher seeded team. They lose the first game. They have the game at home. They win in coverage, a high percentage. But I will be on those San Antonio Spurs tomorrow and for the series. Pick them right now. I just think there's a lot of sustainability what we saw last night. And look, I know it went double overtime, but the Spurs were winning for about 90% of the game. So never was the biggest lead that OKC had at 1.58 minutes was just three points. I've shifted all of my support to the Spurs on this one.
Okay. What's the line on the series?
Pick them -110 both ways.
Okay.
So let's go to tonight's game. We're going to go with the Knicks and rest versus rust and back-to-back 7-game series. Some veterans on this team for Cleveland. Detroit was not your typical 1 seed. We talked about that a lot. I'm not sure if after the 9-day layoff they could pick up the chemistry, which we really were clicking, but I just think it's going to be way too much in this spot. The rest has paid off so far in the NBA postseason. We hope it does tonight as well. We're going to take the Knicks -6.5.
All right.
In baseball tonight, Ranger Suarez, we cashed last night with Boston. Let's go back to it. He has not given up a run in his last 2 starts. He is the second choice now for National League Cy Young behind Paul Skeens. American League Cy Young. Let me get this straight. I'll get it straight. So we're going to take Boston with the hot pitcher right now. So we're going with the Red Sox again at Kauffman Stadium against Kansas City. Trying to find the rest of them. Here we go. Tampa Bay has already started. They're down 1-0 early on. And then I don't know why this line is so short. Maybe a little bit of a pitching advantage for San Francisco, but not as of late. Both of these teams' records are similar, but I think Arizona is a considerably better club than the Giants. They're at home. They crushed them last night. We'll look for them to continue that. We're going to take the D-backs at home minus a soft number.
All right. You're getting plus money right now on the Rays because as Jimmy mentioned. Yeah. As Jimmy mentioned, that one's underway. So the Rays right now are plus $1.29 if you want to get in on it. They're down 1-0, but you can get it right there at home against the Orioles.
We talked about those lines being high. It's going down a little bit. Mets are throwing their best pitcher, but Washington is now the highest scoring team in baseball. Their pitching, team ERA, second to last. That adds up to overs. It dipped down to 8.5. It is tempting. So if you need something to throw in a parlay, that game is in a rain delay, so you have some time. Washington to continue playing that over.
All right. So you got 3 picks on the diamond tonight. Again, it's Tampa, Boston, and the Diamondbacks. And then on the hardwood tonight, like in the Knicks, laying the number at 6.5. Where are you tomorrow, Otter?
We are at Iverstein Butcher on Perkins, just off of Eston.
Great spot. All right, Otto, we appreciate
Grilling season, Memorial Day weekend.
It is definitely that, man. I will be in that number for sure. Thank you, Otter.
Okay, thank you. Good luck.
All right, man. Be well. It's After Further Review. We're glad you're with us. We're brought to you by Shaw Bills Tire and Auto Service. You know, I've told you that Shaw Bills has helped you find name brand tires at wholesale prices, and they treat you like family. They've done that since 1968. When you've been around since 1968, treating people right, generally your customers become your biggest cheerleader. They have thousands of 5-star Google reviews. Melissa left this one. Shaw Bills has consistently provided stellar and quality service from beginning to end. I have a new car with barely 2,000 miles. My tires seem to have a defect. Mr. Wade on Burbank was so helpful in navigating me through the warranty process. This was my first experience at Shaw Bills, but regardless of location, I'm always blown away by how far they go to make sure I'm well taken care of and safe on the road. The employees are always a pleasure working with. Always a pleasure working with, and I love supporting a company based out of Louisiana. Thank you for everything. Another 5-star Google review, the type of which you hear all the time when you deal with Shaw Bills. If you need tires, go to Shaw Bills. If you need work done on your car, go to Shaw Bills. ShawBillsTire.com, ShawBillsTire.com. Shaw Bills. We keep you rolling. All right, just about done today, y'all. Glad to have you hanging out with us here on a busy, busy day. Baseball, Tigers against Oklahoma. Scheduled 8 o'clock first pitch. That's not likely going to happen as Tennessee and South Carolina are just finishing first inning here. They're in the second now. But after this game, 30 minutes, and then LSU will take on Oklahoma, see if the Tigers can extend their season. We'll be here tomorrow to recap and hopefully get ready for LSU and Auburn. Buse Pauly, thanks y'all. Have a great night. We'll see you tomorrow at 3.
AFR.
Trust isn't given, it's earned. And at Our Lady of the Lake, they have earned the honor to be LSU's championship health partner. You know, I love telling you about FMOL Health, Our Lady of the Lake, every day for so many reasons. And yes, as phenomenal supporters of LSU athletics and the LSU Student Center, that's one major feather in their cap. But my own personal health care and my family, we trust the lake. Last week, I was having this weird heart palpitation thing. So Monday, I called Our Lady of the Lake Men's Health Group, got me right in, was able to see Dr. Boudreaux, had an EKG, the whole thing. Feel great. He explained exactly what was going on, nothing to it, heart's healthy, put me at ease. But they got me in and out, great service, access, convenience. That's what the lake is here for. FMOL Health, Our Lady of the Lake, the championship health partner of LSU Athletics. Our Lady of the Lake and LSU, together, we roar.